Welcome to the Inspire Spiritual Communities Sunday service. As always, we've got a great service in store for you today. Can't wait to get into it. So make yourselves comfortable right where you are, and we'll begin very, very shortly. We've got a great service as always. We have our very own Reverend Alfreda Lanoix, who will be speaking on the topic for this month, which is freedom, a choice. Freedom, a choice. So we're going to go deep into that. So again, I just thank you for tuning in. I'm Garrick Angel. It's my pleasure and privilege to be your host today. I am part of a wonderful Sunday service committee. Our very own Reverend Amina Bliss and our Reverend Tom Hennessy are also here today, part of the Sunday service committee. And then we have other members who show up when they are available. And on that note, if you're a tech savvy person, good with Zoom, good with video editing, any of that kind of good stuff, we'd love to have you join the service committee. We have a lot of fun together, and I hope you'll consider joining us at whatever level you're able to join us. So again, happy Sunday. As I said earlier, it's an absolutely gorgeous day here in Los Angeles. It's gorgeous in front of my computer because your face is there, making it just so beautiful. I hope you're enjoying it as well. So anyway, wherever you are, make yourselves comfortable. And as always, we begin with a brief meditation so that we can just enjoy the stillness together for a few moments. So again, right where you are, I just invite you to make yourselves comfortable, and we're going to meditate for a couple of minutes, okay? So I invite you to allow your eyes to close. And when you close your outer eyes, imagine that you can open your heart. Imagine that. I'm closing my outer eyes, but my heart is opening. And a great thing to do when you're meditating is to follow the breath. Simply inhaling deeply and exhaling completely, and being very thoughtful and deliberate with each breath. So at your own comfortable pace, I invite you to do just that, to inhale deeply and exhale completely. The breath, that thing that keeps us alive, that thing that is the definition of being alive. We're alive because we're breathing. And what is beautiful about the breath is that this beautiful machine, the body temple, knows exactly how to get the right amount of oxygen out of the air. Imagine that. It knows exactly how to release what no longer serves automatically. Like right now, we're consciously and deliberately thinking about the breath, but the reality is it happens automatically, effortlessly. And it's been happening since the day we were born onto this planet. Think about it. Anything that you've started, have you ever done anything for the entirety of your life? Our lungs have been supporting us. Our heart has been supporting us since before we even took human form. So as you're breathing, in your own mind, just hear your own voice saying, thank you, lungs. Thank you, heart. Thank you, lungs. Thank you, heart. And let's just sit with that, just allowing those words to echo in your awareness. Again, at your own comfortable pace. Thank you, lungs. Thank you, heart. Just following the breath, feeling each and every breath. Thank you, lungs. Thank you, heart. And so now be very conscious of the next 3 breaths, making them super, super deep. Deep inhales and complete exhales. 3 deep breaths. Again, thank you, lung, and thank you, heart. And now after that 3rd breath, hear your own name, thanking yourself. And now, ever so gently, I invite you to wiggle your toes, move your fingers, perhaps move your neck and your shoulders. Once again, becoming aware of your body, aware of the seat that is supporting you, and allowing your heart to open even wider as I take this opportunity to speak a word of blessing for today's service. Mother, Father, God, infinite intelligence, I am thankful and grateful for this moment, this opportunity to turn within, to recognize my connection with the divine, and to realize and remember that God is all there is. So thankful to know with every fiber of being that all that there is God, the only power, the only presence, life itself. God is all that there is, and I exist. I'm here. Therefore, I know that I must be created in the image and likeness and out of the very substance of God. There's nothing else, no other way I could be created. And as I know this to be the truth for myself, I know the same truth for everyone present here, that we do show up individually and collectively as God itself, nothing less. And so what I know is that the fullness and totality of God's graceful elegance is present right here and right now as us and for us. God shows up for us in a most magnificent way, and we welcome the goodness of God to guide and direct this service in such a way that our hearts open wide, illuminating the beauty of the world with pure love. And so we get to relax into the heart of love, and we get to remember that we are love, and we get to choose and experience freedom, a choice. I'm thankful and grateful for our very own Reverend Alfreda Lanoix, as she just announces the truth that we're each God and freedom, a choice. So we relax into this. I release this prayer to the action of God's living, loving law. I let God take over, guiding and directing us from glory to greater glory. It's done, it's good, and I'm thankful. And so it is. Amen. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in today. It's a beautiful day, and you make it beautiful. And so remember that everywhere you go, that you bring the beauty with you. You are the light of God, and you light up every room. How beautiful it is to remember that. And so as we remember that, I'm going to invite our very own Reverend Tom Hennessy to anchor us in our mission statement. But before that, he will invite us to recognize and salute each other with namaste. Reverend Tom.
In our service, we anchor ourselves together. Saluting the God in me salutes the God in you. And the God in you salutes the God in me. So as we place our hands in a prayerful position right over our heart, we bow, kissing bringing our fingers up to and hands up to our lips, up to our third eye, back down to our lips and our heart, and we just bow and we say, Namaste.
Namaste.
The God in me salutes the God in you, and the God in you salutes the God in me. And so it is. Our mission statement, it's on the screen there, and I invite you to say it out loud in your home. Inspire is a spiritual community of like-minded souls committed to walking our talk in joyous fellowship by demonstrating the power of love, compassion, and non-judgment every day in every way. Recognizing the divinity of all life, we stand united by actively liberating humanity by healing judgment, fear, and shame within ourselves. Our intention to create world peace, piece by piece. Woohoo! And now it's my great pleasure to bring on the one and only Reverend Alfreda Lanoix.
Thank you, Reverend Tom. Thank you so very, very much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It's so beautiful to see all the beautiful faces. And I love looking at the mom and the daughter. That is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. And it's almost like she had an accident and mom is there to nurture her. I just absolutely love it because you're never too old to be nurtured, right? You're never too old to be nurtured. So good morning. I'm going to be with you briefly talking about freedom, a choice. And, I'm going to ask the question today, and I just want you to take the time to think about it. freedom a choice? How many times or in what situations have you been able to choose yourself? To choose yourself, to choose what's for your highest good. Because a lot of times we forget that we have that power to choose ourselves, and we don't really even know what that looks like. We don't even know what that feels like because we've been so conditioned to sacrifice for everyone and everything else until when it comes to the opportunity to choose ourselves, when we have that freedom, the ability to exercise that choice, do we choose ourselves? Have we chosen ourselves? You know, a lot of times when I'm counseling and, you know, I tell people, you know, you need to choose yourself, and they have no idea what I'm talking about. They have no idea what that looks like. They have no idea what it even feels like to choose themselves. So today we're talking about freedom, which is freedom from within, and a choice, how to choose myself. Now, freedom, sometimes we're talking about freedom that is from, not freedom that is from ourselves. There is the freedom from ourselves. In other words, the we, ourselves. But we want to go to the freedom of yourself. So we're going to go from ourselves, freedom from ourselves, to freedom from yourself. We want to look at the difference. It's freedom from our religion or freedom from our experiences, because sometimes these are the things that hold us back. These are the things that block us from our freedom, to choose yourself. So we're going to go from freedom from our religion, our experiences, our fears, our faith, our belief, our loneliness, our desperation, and not to sell out. But we want to talk about the freedom of the authentic self. So let me go through that again, because when the universe gave that to me, it was just so powerful. Sometimes the freedom that is needed is the freedom from ourselves, from the we, because we've had so many experiences. We've gone through so many changes. We've had so many conditions. So we're talking about freedom from ourselves to freedom for the self. Does that make sense? From ourselves to the freedom for the authentic self. Ooh, there's a song that Reverend Patty sent me yesterday, and it says, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. That's pretty powerful. Freedom is a choice to choose the self. What examples can you share? What can you see in your life where you've had the courage against all odds to choose yourself? See, the way that it works is that your intuition, your insight, it is always working. It is always there. It's always informing. It's always nudging. It's always letting you know when it's time to stay, when it's time to go, when it's time to choose yourself. But most of us, we ignore that. We ignore our insight, our warnings, and we continue to stay in situations that are not for our highest good. Because it takes so much courage to choose yourself, to go against the odds, to go against what people think, to go against people's opinion, to go against your own fear, to choose yourself. Because that freedom to choose is always there. Just like Garrett said, about breathing, it's always there. The freedom of choice is always there. But our minds are so conditioned until what we do is we lean into our experiences, or we might lean into our fears. We might lean into all those things that block us, that takes away our right to choose who we authentically are. But the freedom of choice is always there. It's called free will. And it's not caught up with anything other than you. Freedom of choice, the ability to question, to explore, to think, to shape and reshape our lives. With each breath that you take, with each opportunity that presents itself, you have the power to choose to reshape yourself again and again and again. And the beauty about it is that there's no right or wrong. It's all about what works for you. Those things that might have worked for you last year or last week or even last night, they might not work for you, but you have the freedom to choose again and again and again and again. That's the beauty of life. That's what makes life so adventurous. That's what makes life so exciting. That's where your joy should come from. If you don't have any joy in your life, it's because you are stuck in a situation and you feel that you don't have any other choice. And if you don't think that you have no choice, then guess what? You don't have a choice because it's free will. It's not forced upon you. You don't have to do it. It's all about, do you have the courage? Just because you've put a lot of time into something, just because you've been in a relationship for 25, 30 years, don't necessarily mean that that's the relationship for you today. But you have that freedom. Even when I deal with women that have been in domestic violence and people wonder, why do they stay? They stay because of the mind. Because your mind is what controls you. Your freedom can be right across the street. Your freedom is when you have the courage to shut the door on a situation because something else is open and waiting for you. But you allow your fear to keep you stuck, to keep you in a situation, to make you think that this is all that there is, to make you think that there's nothing else out there, that this is it. But when you recognize that you have the ability to question, you have the ability to explore, the ability to think, to shape and reshape your life again and again and again, that's freedom. Freedom, free will, the power to make choices, to liberate ourselves from conditions and situations from our past. A lot of times we continue to live in the past. A situation comes up and what we rely on is our experiences and what we've been through. And even if that did not turn out the way we chose or we wanted it to turn out, we will go back to a formula that doesn't work before we have the courage to be open to something new. But it requires that you live consciously, not on automatic pilot, not one shoe fits all situations. I don't care. You can wear a size 9, but maybe in Nike, you might wear 8.5. But maybe in another brand, you might wear a 10. All sizes, it doesn't fit. That's why we were so blessed with freedom to be critical thinkers. We don't have to conform. We're critical thinkers to say, will this work for me? When you live consciously, when something comes up, you ask yourself the question, how do I really feel about this? Will this work for me? Or am I desperate? Am I needy? Am I so afraid that I'm scared to venture out? And so I stay in these uncomfortable, unhealthy situations, unhealthy jobs, unhealthy relationships, because I don't exercise my freedom of choice. It's my birthright. And joy comes when I have the courage to choose what I feel will be for my highest good. Not necessarily choose what's right, because you've chosen what you felt like was right most of your life. And what you've discovered is that it might have been right now, but when you know that you have the freedom to always choose in a situation, then you won't live unconsciously. You'll be conscious. And when it comes up, you will stop. And so let me look at this. How do I feel about this? How do I feel about this beyond my fear? Do I feel like this is something that I want to explore? Or am I afraid? To liberate yourself from condition, from the external. Because listen, if you live looking for somebody to give you freedom, if you live looking for freedom from a job because you're making such amount of money and that's going to make you happy, if you live looking for anybody to come into your life and say, I'm here to love you, honey, it's an inside job. Your freedom is within you after you peel back the layers of conditioning, the layers of people pleasing, the layers of trying to be accepted, the layers. And only when you get to a place, the freedom to feel and to accept who you authentically are, then you apply that in your life and in all situations. And let me tell you, joy. You look up one day and you have joy. I have so much joy in my life, and my joy is not connected to what I make. My joy is not connected, because if it was connected to what I make, I would definitely be sad and depressed. But my joy comes from my freedom, that I will choose myself. Does this work for me? How does this feel for me? Is this something that I want to do? Because when you want to do something, then you're open when you really want to do it. Spiritual freedom is a deep journey of going within the self. You know, I talked about ourselves collectively, but spiritual, see, that's a journey that only you can take for yourself to go within. That's going to require acceptance. That's going to require being totally honest with yourself. Some of us are not honest with ourselves. We are so scared of honesty. We're so scared of ourselves. We've been so conditioned that if you accept yourself and who you are and all you bring to the table, that nobody is going to accept you. Well, if they don't, those are not the people for you anyhow. And when you free enough to know that what's yours is yours and what's not yours, you don't want it anyhow. Then when you make your choices, you make them from your highest good. Freedom to be, not try to fit in to places, to situations. Because when you have the freedom to be authentically who you are, let me tell you, the situations and the places will open up for you. Freedom, when you exercise your freedom. There's a verse that says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. It didn't say set you free. You hear people say that, know the truth and the truth will set you free. No, it's not going to set you free. You might still be in the same situation, but it will make you free. And if you're free mentally, then you will make those choices and the outer will reflect who you are when you're free. When you've accepted, know your truth. Know your truth. It is your responsibility to know who you authentically are. They might have said that you were a heterosexual woman, but as you evolve, you realize that that was not my truth. I'm not a heterosexual woman. No, I'm a lesbian. Know your truth. And when you know your truth, it makes you free. And I'm free to be all that I want to be. That's what we all want. We just want to be free. We just want to be. We just want to be. We've cut ourselves up and put ourselves in all of these different compartments to try to make all these things work together. When in reality, we just want to be. Spiritual freedom is freedom from suffering from things that's caused by our ego. It is the freedom from the suffering that allows us to be. In other words, suffering is a choice. And when you choose not to suffer, doesn't mean the situation doesn't change, but what it means is that I've accepted accountability of it and I'm not allowing it. Like, for instance, I saw this example of, it says you stump your toe. You stump your toe and it hurts, so you get pain. There are things in life that, that happen and you have pain. But what gives you the freedom is not to suffer, not to get angry, not to say, I can't believe I stumped my toe. We are human. We're going to make choices that are not necessarily always good, most of the time, but we don't have to suffer behind it. We just accept it. Oh my God, if I held myself in bondage for all the choices that I've made, I wouldn't even be able to lift my head up. We all got some stuff in the closet, all of us. But I'm not going to suffer behind some choices I made because it was the best choice I could have made at that particular time. Of course, I can look back on it and say, oh my goodness, what was I thinking? Well, that's it. You were not thinking. But it's life. But freedom is to choose not to suffer. Like, yeah, things are going to happen. Listen, as long as you're living, it's called life. As long as you're breathing, things are going to happen. If you're looking for that la la land where the milk and honey, it's not now, girl. No. So it's going to happen. People are going to misunderstand you. You're going to be misunderstood. People are going to lie. You're going to lie. This is what we do. But when you accept full accountability, you know what? I've made choices in my life that I knew were not good choices. Like, I knew it. I already knew it. I looked at it and I said, this is not really a great choice, but I want to do it. And then I said to myself, are you willing to accept the responsibility and the accountability of this choice that you're getting ready to make? And when I said yes, it was a green light, and I did it. And once I did it, of course, there were, the backlash from it, and I had to pay for it. But I paid. I paid because I said I wanted to do it. but I didn't suffer. I didn't say, oh, that was stupid of you, or oh, I can't believe you did that, or oh, you got to keep paying. Oh, no, I accepted accountability. Girl, what was you thinking? You were not thinking. Did it give you the satisfaction that you thought you were going to get? Hell no. But I did it, and I paid the price from it. And then I had the freedom not to suffer from it. So freedom, it is the freedom to choose how we engage with reality based off the present moment rather than the previous unconscious beliefs that we have. See, it's about right now, like right now in this present moment, instead of being held hostage or in bondage by our past. You get a new relationship. If you have not made peace, if you have not accepted the accountability of your past, then what you do is you don't have the freedom to be open to accept what's in the present moment. And so what you do is you take the past and you bring it into your new relationship, into the present moment. And then guess what? You have the same experiences over and over and over again. Ooh, it is the freedom that comes with realizing that we and everything in this universe, we're one. We're one. They want to divide us by the color of our skin. They want to divide us by our sexual orientation. They want to divide us by our gender. But we are so much more than the labels that they've given us. We are spirit. Garrett said it. We are the spirit, the gods within us. And once we realize that, look at the freedom we have because it makes us powerful. When you go beyond and you can connect on that level of oneness with the universe, that you have the power within you, the freedom within you to create a reality that works for you. Ooh, that's very powerful. What's going to work for me? How do I want to move through life? How do I want to access my spirit, my power? What is it that I want to explore? What is it that I want to create and bring to the universe? What is it that my soul is yearning to do? That's when you go beyond beyond the reality that we are divided, because we're not. We are not. We all come here the same, and we all leave here the same. And I don't care who we are in between. And when we can go beyond all of these things that have been created to keep us separate, because the power is coming together in the oneness of who we are. That freedom, and nobody can take it from you. See, the thing about freedom is nobody can give it to you, but nobody can take it from you, because that's how powerful you are. Oh yeah, you're sitting on some power, whether you recognize it or not. And the thing that's so frightening is that because you don't recognize it, you're destroying things and you're creating things in your life that you don't even want. And you think somebody else is doing it to you. It's you, girl. It's you, boy. It's you. Because that's how powerful you are. This freedom, it's not earned, It's not because of the color of your skin or your family background or where you came from. It's because it was given to all that accept. It's free. Ooh, this spiritual freedom is powerful beyond anything most people can imagine. And it is always right here within us. See, that's the thing. It's always like, let me tell you, a situation can happen. You have the freedom of how you're going to accept it, how you're going to look at it, how you're going to deal with it, what you're going to do with it. You have that freedom. And when you know you have that freedom, it makes your choices totally different. You just don't act on automatic pilot. You just don't automatically get afraid. You just don't automatically get angry. You just don't automatically strike out. You don't act like you're just helpless. Like I'm very emotional. Because with that freedom, you can stop and evaluate. You can stop and look at the situation. You can stop and say, wow, that person struck out at me. They must be going through a lot of pain. See how powerful freedom is to think, wow. Instead of, oh, I'm not the one. Don't strike out at me. I'm gonna strike back out at you. And then next thing you know, you're in a situation that you didn't even have to be in because you had the freedom to make another choice. Because it's a spiritual journey, spiritual insight. You know, if somebody strikes out at you, that they're not striking out at you. It's not personal. You know that they're striking out because of the pain they have inside, because they don't realize that they have the freedom to do it a little bit different. But you're the spiritual one. You've evolved. You've read these books. You've gone to school. This is the time you apply it. Ooh, wow. The benefits of spiritual freedom is that, number one, you get to enjoy the moment. You just get to enjoy the moment. You're right here. How many times have you been in a party? How many times have you been at a church? How many times have you been at a picnic and you didn't even enjoy the moment? You didn't even enjoy the moment because you didn't have that spiritual freedom. The freedom to not allow your mind to have those 97,000 thoughts of, oh, how am I going to do this? Or why didn't I do that? You know, all those thoughts that just continue to clutter up the mind. It keeps you from being here in the present moment. Look, I put makeup on. Be present. Look at, you see what I'm saying? Be present. You got up, you got dressed, you look beautiful. Be present. Enjoy right now. Some people go on vacation and come back tighter than they did when they went on the vacation because they didn't allow the mind to be present. See, freedom, spiritual freedom, is lets you enjoy the moment. I often say, what's the sense of living if you're not going to enjoy yourself? We've been conditioned to suffer. We've been conditioned to sacrifice. We've been conditioned to feel guilty about feeling good. I've had people feel like, things are going so well. I don't know. I don't know. You know what they say, Reverend Frida, as soon as you get a couple of good days, you're getting ready to die. You can't even enjoy enjoyment. Ooh, but the spiritual freedom will allow you to enjoy. It allows you to get rid of the external restrictions. Because listen, things are going to always happen. There's always going to be something somewhere happening. But you don't have to. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't participate. Doesn't mean that you don't play your part. But you play your part. You don't play the part. You don't have that kind of power. But the power that you have, you participate. Whether that's like volunteering, whether that's giving something financial, you do your part. But with spiritual freedom, once you do your part, you know that's enough. And you're allowed to have your joy and your peace of mind. It makes you stop worrying about the future. Spiritual freedom allows you to stop worrying about the future. A lot of times we worry about things that don't even happen. They don't even happen. And we've given them all this energy. We've stressed out. We have high blood pressure. We've eaten ourselves to diabetes, type 2, just all of this. Cancer, they say cancer is regret, a buildup of regret emotionally and mentally. And then it begins to work on us physically because we don't have the benefits of spiritual freedom for things that you can't handle. There are certain things you cannot handle, and it's okay. Like where do we get this thing that we got to handle everything? We got to make everything okay. You know what I realized the other day? It was so ironic. I'm the first child. I'm the oldest of 6. And I took that position of being, the surrogate mother. And I raised my sisters and brothers and helped my mother, and then I raised my own kids, and then I became a reverend trying to raise grown people. Come on now. And the other day I said, you know what? I'm so damn tired of responsibility. I don't know what to do. I'm tired of it. Because with my spiritual freedom, what I recognize is, who I'm responsible for is myself. That doesn't mean that when somebody needs help that I can't help them. But it does mean that I don't have to carry their burden. I don't have to hold their hands. I don't have to lead them to the water. Whew. With the spiritual freedom, and I recognize that, guess what? I need to take care of myself. The hardest thing for me to do was when I had to cut the biblical cord for my son. And let me tell you, he's 50 years old. He called me the other day because he was going to the dentist. 50. I said, child, if you don't go to the dentist and leave me alone, how much do you have to give? But I noticed that my giving came from not feeling like I was enough, not accepting who I was, always feeling inadequate, and always feeling like I needed to prove my love. Giving what I didn't have to give, giving from an empty cup. Come on, I got you. I got you. You better get yourself. The benefits of spiritual freedom. You get to follow your own intuition. That's your GPS. It's there. It's within you, but you ignore it. It's that feeling that you get that says it's time to go. It's the feeling that you get that it says it's time to let go. You've given all that you can give in this situation. It's that feeling that says you got to choose yourself. It's okay. You might be by yourself, but it's okay. You can never be alone when you're with yourself. Because to me, the worst loneliness is to be with somebody and you're still feeling lonely. Because if you're not connected emotionally, spiritually, honey, you're just with the body. Ooh, but that intuition, and let me tell you, the freedom of choosing yourself, the more you choose yourself, the more you like yourself. The more you like yourself, the more you want to be with yourself. The more you're open to whatever comes, because you said, you know what, come my way. But guess what? I'm going to trust my intuition and I'm going to choose myself. I want to see where this is going to take me. That's the adventure in life. I want to see where this is going. I'm going to choose myself Before I might have chosen someone else. Before I might have felt guilty about choosing myself. But I'm going to choose myself because my little girl on the inside, she gets so excited when I don't sacrifice her anymore. She gets so excited when I don't worry about other people's opinion. She gets so excited when she can be authentically who she is. I'm going to choose her. Ooh. And the more you choose her, the more freedom you have to be. It's about the being and not the doing. It's about the being. Who am I being? Ooh. And when you ask yourself that question, be open for the answer, because it will answer and it will let you know. Who am I being? Because I have the freedom to be all that I need to be. Not what am I doing? Child, we always doing something. We're busy bodies. We've been doing ever since we can remember. We don't even know how to be. We get up in the morning doing. We do all day long. We do all the way until it's time for us to get into bed. And in between all that, there has not been any being. Sometimes you need to slow down and just be. In the being is where you heal, not in the doing. Because in the being, you have the freedom to really embrace yourself and hold yourself and see yourself and accept yourself. And if there's some forgiving that you need to do to yourself in order for you to be open, forgive yourself. Let it go. Let yourself off the hook because you've done your best. Ooh, these are the benefits. You get inner peace, profound peace, that peace that comes from within, that peace that doesn't have an understanding, that peace when you have your spiritual freedom, and freedom that only you can give yourself. Oh, Lord. All right, now, in my closing, I just want you to know, nothing changes you unless you want change. Nothing. I have been with people that you would think this is the time that they want to change, and there was no change. I've been with people that were sick and say, oh, you think they want to change? No change. Change only happens when you want change. That's it. That's it. The day you want it, then that means you're willing to do what needs to be done in order to obtain it. Nothing else changes. You don't change for people. You don't change for situations. It only happens when you want it. Freedom is a choice. And when you want freedom, when you want to be mentally, emotionally, and have that spiritual freedom, it will only happen if you want it. It is always yours for the asking. It's always yours to be able to choose. But you have to choose from within. Freedom, it's a choice. And the choice is yours. Thank you.
Reverend Frida, always, always, always so rich. Oh my gosh, there's so much there. Thank you, thank you, thank you for just being so clear and breaking it down in so many different ways that each of us gets to catch whatever nuggets applies to us. We do have a couple of minutes for some question and answer. So if anyone has a personal situation they're working with, and perhaps this topic, perhaps going a little bit deeper on that situation, I invite you to raise your hand, and you can ask Reverend Frida to speak directly to whatever it is that you're working with. I know it's rich, I know it's a lot, but it's great. It's great. And again, I'm not.
Or Garrett, maybe someone can share a situation where they chose themselves.
I love it.
What did that look like for you? Have you ever chosen yourself? Can you recognize a time when you chose yourself, when you exercise your freedom to choose yourself?
That is a great question. Let's
Isn't
all
that a
take a
great
deep breath.
question?
Yeah, let's all take a deep breath and be with that question for a second, because I would love for someone to share on that. So anyone who wants to speak to that, that's the beauty of having such a sweet, intimate community. We can invite people to speak. I'm going to invite Asila to unmute herself and go ahead and comment.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Here with my mom, and you were right, Reverend Frida. She is here nurturing me. I had shoulder surgery a few weeks ago. Doing great though. Yes, I wanted to share about choosing myself, choosing freedom. Guess it's been about three and a half years or so. Right before COVID, I quit my job to start my business full time. And that was really about choosing me. I knew that I couldn't grow in my business if I stayed working in my full-time job. So I chose me, and it's been a great, was a great decision. And even though it was scary, because 2 weeks after I left my day job behind, we were on lockdown with COVID, it was still the right thing to do. And I've never looked back. So that was the first thing that came to mind when you first talked about that, Reverend Frida. And it was worth it.
I love it. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. When you have because it takes courage, right?
Yes.
It takes courage. And if you project yourself into the future, you won't do it, because you'll be like, well, what if this doesn't happen? Because a lot of times we talk ourselves out of out of the things that we desire. Because listen, choosing yourself, oh my goodness, what you get from it, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, because the message that you've given yourself is that, guess what? In hard times, girl, I'm going to choose you. How do I know I'm going to choose you? Because I've chosen you. So that's beautiful. Thank you for that. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Choosing yourself, honey. Freedom, okay? Love it.
Asila, I so appreciate you sharing that example. The choice to start your own business, to leave your day job, and then boom, we have a lockdown.
Yes.
And what I realized as you were speaking is that yes, that you said to yourself had its own momentum. It was stronger than the pandemic was. Yes. So Reverend Frida, I wonder if there's something there that you can highlight for us about how just choosing yourself creates this momentum that supports you.
Oh my God, because that's the only way to do it. Like that is the only, the thing, freedom is not free, right? We said that freedom comes with a cost. And because listen, if she had not made that choice, she would have been locked down mentally, because she still would have been on a job that no longer has fulfillment. Sometimes we find ourselves in these situations that, listen, we have drained everything out of that situation, that relationship. We've drained it, we squeezed it. There's no more energy in it, and so then every day, look at every day how you hold yourself hostage, how you hold yourself in bondage, going somewhere, being somewhere where you don't want to be. Now, that's the lockdown. And when you're locked down emotionally, mentally, it don't matter how much money you make. It don't matter what you buy. If you are mentally locked down and have no joy in your life, the sacrifice that you pay is too great. And what you do is you continue to create. See, you create this energy, and that energy in the universe just says yes. Yes to your will, yes to your way. So clearly, this is what you want to do. Clearly, you want to continue to have this feeling of feeling held hostage. You want to feel this guilt. You want to feel, you don't want any joy in your life because you have the power to create a new reality if you say yes to yourself. That's freedom. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have time for 2 more questions. First, I'm going to ask Reverend Tom to unmute yourself and yeah, Reverend Tom.
Yeah, a few years ago, I had to go to San Antonio. I was going for my high school reunion and for my mom's 90th birthday. This was in 2021. And every time I go, it seems like my brother has some sort of beef that comes out of left field or whatever that I have no idea what he's talking about. This one, he was accusing me of some email that I had sent him that offended him. And I look back on my emails because, you know, it keeps, and the last time I had emailed him on anything was in 2016 because somebody from my older brother wanted to get in touch with him. And so I sent my younger brother that told him about it. So whatever he was, his beef was, and it's always been about something that doesn't amount to anything. And he accused me of, you know, that at my funeral, nobody would come because I didn't have any friends and blah, blah, blah. Okay, it didn't affect me. And I wrote back and says, I'm not a people pleaser. If you want, if you want to go on a guilt trip, bon voyage, have fun. I'm not going with you. And I think that kind of startled him. I told my mom several years before that she loved to take you on a guilt trip, and I just said, it was with my sister on the phone and my dad on the other line. And I just said, Mom, if you want to go on a guilt trip, bon voyage, I'm not going with you. Well, it startled her and she started crying and all that, but she knew I was right. So when you get to that point where, you know, you're just not people pleasing anymore, that you're standing up for yourself.
Yes.
That your own, you know, you're being true to yourself. That's the time to sit back and say, okay, you know, all this outer stuff it's not going to affect me because I'm choosing freedom. I'm choosing to be myself, to be authentic.
Love it, love it, love it. Yes, freedom to be, not being affected by other people's opinion of who they say you are, because people are coming from their own pain. You know, I can't give you more than I've given myself. And if I'm not feeling good about who I am, then how do you even expect me? You can just look at people's personality and how they move through life. How can you expect them to give you more than what they've given you? So the freedom to just be that who you are and not go on that guilt trip. Love it. Thank you. That was amazing. Love that.
Mastery, mastery, mastery.
Yes.
And Luke, so good to see you. So good to see you.
Hey,
Go
Luke.
ahead and unmute, and so good to see you, Luke.
Yeah, it's so wonderful to be here with my Inspire family. It's interesting because I've gone through a few years that have been really difficult, and ended my marriage last year, and I it was interesting because I felt like I was doing that because I was choosing myself, and that I now I'm in a situation with my job where I am for the first time realizing that I need to choose myself. So it's interesting because it feels like it's a process of choosing myself, and that this notion, what really struck me is when Reverend Alfreda talked about sacrifice. And I know that that's kind of what I've been programmed to do, is to sacrifice for other people. And then there's and then I also realized what struck me was that this freedom requires surrender, because I think so much of my own suffering is a result of my illusion of control. And so I just wanted to share that piece is really powerful to me, that I got this morning, was that that you have to give up the illusion of control to have the freedom.
Ooh, yeah. See, now you're gonna make me shout. Okay, you go. Ooh, because you got it, Luke. You got it. Oh my goodness. Yes, you have to surrender. Surrender from that illusion that we've had and we've created for ourselves. And the thing that you said, I think that is so powerful, is that, see, it's an ongoing thing. It is a process. And so, yes, when you choose yourself in one situation, it doesn't stop there, because now you begin to look like and examine from reality to look at, oh, wait a minute, there's other areas, there are other places, because it is that same mentality that you created your existence off of. And once that begins to crumble, everything that's built on top of that will also begin to open up and crumble too. Oh my God, till you get to the being, because we've been so trained to sacrifice. How do I know I'm a good person? By what I give to others. That's what we've been trained. But in reality, it has nothing to do with what you give or not give. It's about who you authentically are in your being. And as you choose yourself and really nurture yourself and really begin to have that freedom, then you will begin to have joy, because everything else begins to crumble around you that is not based off of who you authentically are. So that's a beautiful statement. Thank you so much for that, Luke. Thank you. That was amazing. Yes, because you got to surrender, you guys. And that's where the fear comes in, because we don't want to surrender. We want to control. And we know control is nothing but fear. And you cannot enjoy your life if you are always trying to be in control of something or someone or the situation. Never will you have joy in that particular life. Thank you, Luke. That was powerful. Thank you.
This is rich. This is rich. And I said we only have 2 more questions, but I'm going to invite Asila to be very succinct. And I'm not sure if it's Asila or if it's Anis, but I'm going to go ahead and invite you to unmute.
Thanks, Garrett. I know that we're running a little over time, but all through the sermon, I was thinking about a new poem that I have, that how it fits. And one of the things I think we can agree on is that when we begin to choose ourselves after we haven't, folks are so surprised, and and sometimes they're mad at you, But this poem it's not very long, but I'm gonna share with you today. It's called Setting Her Own Limits. She never learned the art of setting limits. In her day, The woman had no say about what she would, could, should, or must not do. In her younger days, sheep-like, she followed, performed steady as a trained elephant, met every expectation. By the time she reached crone age, she'd stared down countless trials and tough decisions, withstood widowhood. She recognized her stature, began to honor her wisdom, own her power, breathe rare air. She spoke up, said no to everyone's surprise, said yes to heartfelt desires, cravings she hadn't known, carved out the rest of her days with her own knife.
Ooh, that touches my heart. That touches my heart because she carved out her own life with her own heart. And most of us, we don't even know we've had the power to carve out our own lives. We've been so conditioned to live for other people. Our careers sometimes are based off of what our parents wanted us to do, what society says that we should do. We have no clue of how powerful we are. We've given it all away. We've taken the knife and carved for other people to try to make other people happy, and especially when you come from an existence where you had abuse or you were in pain, it sets you up to try to make the world good and great for other people, and you just continue to sacrifice yourself. The last line is so powerful. She took her own. You have your own power. You have the power. That's what, if you leave here today, I just want you to get that. You have the power. Take your own knife and carve out your own life. That's it. That's what it's all about. Yes. Woo! Girl. Oh.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
what a community. What a community we are. There is so much beauty, so much talent. I love the way that we get to share all in our own authentic, unique way, and it's always beneficial for everyone. So thank you, Anis, for sharing that. I love the spontaneity of knowing that this was the place and the time to share that. Before we complete, I just want to remind you a couple of things. We meet on the second and fourth Sunday of every month. On the 23rd of this month, Reverend Candace will be back, also speaking on our topic, Freedom, a Choice. I also just want to remind you that this spiritual community has a couple of ways that it can grow. One is through outreach, and well, actually, it's through outreach. And so outreach requires a couple of different things. So here's what I'm going to invite you to do. Tell a friend. Our next service will be Friendship Sunday. So I invite you to bring a friend, and it's as easy as saying, hey, I'm doing something on Sunday. I'd love for you to join me. I'm going to forward you this email. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Let your friends show up and let them experience Inspire Love. Let them experience our very own Reverend Candace. The other thing I'm going to invite you to do is to financially support Inspire. First of all, I see many auto tithers here, people who have their bank automatically give money. If you're not in a position to do that yet, what I invite you to do is go back to that email that has the link to today's service, scroll down to where it says donate, hit the button, do that on your computer. I'm not sure how well it works on your phone, but definitely do that on your computer and make a donation, any donation, because what you set in motion feeds both you and creates possibilities for others. We are now a global community. So I do want to recognize we're in multiple states, multiple countries. And so that is because we have the ability to do some outreach. So we want to continue that because there are people on this planet who don't even know that God and gay can go together. So we're here to wake up those hearts. So again, I thank you for being here. Reverend Alfreda, my goodness, so deep, so deep. The only thing I can ask you to do right now is just bring it home, benediction and a prayer, because there's no more.
No, after that last poem, anything that could be said has been said. And I just want to thank you for your participation, for sharing your insights and your stories. And I definitely want a copy of that book. As soon as it hits, please, Amina, make sure you let me know so that I can get a copy of that book. I want that book just on that line by itself, okay? That was just so powerful. So in our closing, you guys, just know that you're not stuck. That's it. You're just not stuck. You have the power. You're very powerful. And this is how powerful you are. Wherever you are in your life right now is where you have chosen to be. Wherever you are. And you have the power to choose and reshape yourself again and again and again. That's the power that you possess within yourself. Wise and wonderful universe, we just come right now thanking you for the awareness of our power, knowing that we still, some of us have the fear, some of us are not in the awareness, some of us are still processing, but we just thank you that we acknowledge right now how powerful we are and that you are right there to support us, not to judge us, not to tell us whether we're right or wrong, but simply to support us on this beautiful journey called life. And we understand that it's a journey. We understand that it's freedom, and the freedom that we have to choose ourselves comes from within. And just for that insight, we just say, and so it is, and so it shall be, Ashe. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Reverend
Oh,
Alfreda. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Annis's new book will be coming out at the end of the month, so we'll be hearing more of that in the future. But for now, go out and make some choices because you make a difference. Love to all of you. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. Bye-bye.
bye.